Hazel, clap once if you can hear me. Clap 2 times if you can hear me. Clap 3 times if you can hear me. Oh, that's how it feels like to be Hazel Jackson. Hazel. Oh my God, guys! Whoo! This is the most tense episode so far. You don't know how much I've waited for this moment to talk to the wonderful lady in front of me. But yeah, let me do my intro. Yo, what's up, guys? Jairus here, and welcome to another episode of Jairus Inspires podcast. And this is a full circle moment for me because Hazel Jackson was my former CEO. I worked for Biz Group for more than 3 years. And I always tell to my followers that my last company that I worked with was the best moment of my corporate career.
Thank you.
Like best, even moments of my life. I was like, I really love that company. And when I left, I was like, they have these core values, and I still implement this until today. And that's what exactly I want to discuss for today is how these core values helped me and shaped my career until today, right? So
happy to have that conversation.
Exactly. Hazel Jackson, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
I love the visuals.
I'm more relaxed than you are, I think, but that's fine.
Yeah, okay, let me just shake,
Shake it off,
exactly.
John. John, it's just a conversation, you and I.
We never had this conversation, right? We never sat down and then have this conversation. And,
no, we didn't. I think the last time I saw you this nervous, you were taking pictures of Liz Wiseman.
Yeah, true. That was
another guru that you really enjoyed spending time with.
I want her to be here as well because, she gave me a book. I remember Multipliers because I used what was that again? My name, the superhero name. What's the term of that?
We've got to remember your native genius.
Native genius, yes, exactly. Native genius, Creative Comic. That's the name of my company. And that's the name I used for my company. That came from Liz Wiseman. So she's also proud. She put me in her book. So 100%. Liz, if you're watching, come over here. Hazel Jackson. Before we start, I know you're the woman with no introduction.
No,
but
I'm happy to
I have
introduce
followers.
Myself. Okay.
I have followers that doesn't know you, so please introduce yourself. The floor is yours.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. My name's Hazel Jackson. I'm CEO and founder of Biz Group. Biz Group is a learning and development company. But it's really been founded on the principles I think we're going to talk about today of having a really strong core purpose, having core values, and they've been around for a long time. And I think if you cut open any bizzer, they say these core values come out. And obviously they're still with John after all of this time. So really excited to be here. I'm a curious CEO. I'm ready to learn and I'm ready to share anything I can that might help you in your career or your entrepreneurial endeavor or just maybe your life.
That's good. Guys, just a disclaimer, whenever Hazel mentioned John, that's me. Because they know it's Jairus now.
Oh, sorry.
Jairus is my social media name.
Jairus, okay.
It's
all
okay,
right.
you can still call me John.
I'm going to call him John because I'm old-fashioned and I'll get it wrong.
Exactly. So, Hazel, before we start, again, we're going to talk about core values and how these core values shape my career and my life, and also why is it important in companies to apply. So, Hazel, can we have fun? So what I'll do, I will show the core values, and I want you to say the Twitter version of these core values.
Okay.
See, I learned that from you. Twitter version.
Keep it short.
Exactly. Twitter version means keep it short, right? Okay, so we'll start with the one of this. Okay, so act with biz energy.
What that means to me is always have a little bit more energy than everybody else. Oh. That's what biz energy is.
Exactly. Short and sweet. Okay. Tell me what you need to hear.
Not what you want to hear, which might be what you prefer, but what you need to hear, whether it's a client or an employee. Always give feedback.
Okay, it's good. Okay, combining strengths.
It's teamwork. Actually, the strength of any company is how well people work together, not just individual superstars.
Cool. Genuinely care about delivering results.
Don't just do the results because you're told to, or because your boss is watching you. Genuinely care whether you're being watched or not.
Ooh, okay, this one is very strong. I love it. Believe anything is possible.
Yeah, do the crazy. Be out, be a bit wild. Say yes and then figure out how.
Figure out how along the way.
Yeah.
And last one, what?
Supporting people's personal growth. Even if they leave you to start their own company, you need to support them because that's one of our core values.
I've heard my name.
100%. Believe in people, support them while they're with you. And then if they leave, be proud of the fact that they've gone on to do their own thing.
Got it. Ooh, Hazel, before we dive into these core values, I just want to hear, because it's something that I think I never heard working with Biz Group, like the history of these core values. How did you came up with these amazing values?
So I think let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
First of all, you need a purpose. So I'm going to say that core values and a core purpose come together. They're both. So what's the reason why you exist? What's your why? What's the intent behind your plan? And every day you go to work in a job or in your own company, you need to understand your core purpose, the reason why. For me, the reason why I started Biz Group was I loved switching the light bulb on in somebody's mind about the fact that they could do something differently. They could learn to be a better leader. They could learn to be a better manager. Maybe they just went home and took something that I'd shared back in those early days and they were a better husband or wife or parent. And so our core purpose is enriching lives through learning. And that goes alongside the core values as, if this is the reason why, how do we behave? So what is the way that we should show up every day? And so when you look for core values, typically they already exist. You're trying to discover them rather than define them. So if we take a large company, if you go out and you say, what do we want our core values to be? It's very hard to bring them to life. So it's better in an existing organization to say, what already exists? What are the good behaviors? And when we first did this exercise to come up with Biz Core Values, I was lucky enough that Vern Harnish, the author of Mastering the Rockefeller Habits and Scaling Up, was our coach for the day. Okay, and so we were in a hotel on Sheikh Zayed Road. There was about 9 of us. Bev Milan was there as well in those days,
What
the
year
early
was
days.
it?
Hazel Cowling.
Which year?
I'm going to say about 2001.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit earlier, 2000. And so we were sitting in a room and Vern Harnish asked us the question, if you were going to clone anybody, if you were going to actually put them in a machine and you could duplicate them, who would you clone and why? And I do believe Achana was in the room but right then. And so we started talking about bizzers who we would love to have more people like this. And I think we were only maybe 10, 15 people at the time. And then you dig a little bit deeper. Why? Why would I want to duplicate Achana? What is it that she does? And you tell stories, and I know you're a great storyteller. You tell stories about that person.
Yes.
And out of the stories, you're listening for phrases. You're listening for examples of how that person shows up. And then you talk about another person, and you're listening for phrases. And these phrases that you see in front of you right now were the stories that came to life. And so I think the first one was believe anything is possible, because, I came here with very little money and just a belief that we could build a company. And so believe anything possible was one of these deep-rooted core values that time and time again we could tell stories about how we did the impossible as a company, how we came up with ideas for the rugby sevens and how that was just impossible. And yet we did it. And so believe anything is possible was one of these examples. We could tell story after story after story. So it became a core value. And the reason why it's important to say, maybe it already exists, not in every person every day, but if you come up with a core value that said, I don't know, in Biz Group, we're serious about success. Actually, we're not serious about success. And so it becomes very hard to then live the value, because maybe it's something aspirational, maybe it doesn't fit your personality. You think it's right because it sounds the right thing for the outside world, but if it isn't in your core, then you're not going to live it. So let me give you an example. If I have some core values that says we're fast, okay, and speed is an aspirational core value, and all of your customers think, well, you're not particularly fast, you're actually quite slow. Then if I have another core value that says something about integrity, the question is integrity there? So you can't have aspirational core values. You can only have core values that already exist and that you want to amplify and that you want everybody that joins you to understand and that you want then to continue to reinforce.
Yeah.
And so when we did this exercise with Vern Harnish, in fact, combining strengths was not initially in the top group of values. We had 5. And we had to argue with him for the fact that we believe teamwork's one of our core values, in the sense that we're amoeba-like in Biz Group. Sometimes we need Saish from AI to get involved in a part of the team building business, and somebody over here needs to come and bring some strength from somewhere else. And so we fought for that value as it being one that already exists. Yeah. And I'll talk in a minute about how do you know they're right, but that's how we came up with them. We told stories and we listened for phrases.
Yeah, the first time I met this amazing core values with Biz Group when I joined, like this was the first time that I even thought of experiencing core values, because I worked for like 5 companies before Biz Group, but we never had this core values with my previous companies. Just and then
So what are they for? Let's just make sure before we go into then how do you continue from those early conversations. They're the rules of your culture.
Yeah.
Or in some instances, a cult. Okay? So they're the rules of the culture.
Yeah.
And the idea is that if nobody's watching you and you need to think, should I make this decision? Should I speak? Should I make this decision with a client? Should I do this action? What should I do? You should be able to think, does this break any of the core values? And if it breaks a core value, the answer is I shouldn't do it. If it lives a core value, then the answer is maybe I should do it. I've got some guidelines of how we behave at Biz Group. So why we want to do things is our core purpose. How we behave is our core values. And so if you understand them, you understand the expectations of how you behave when you work for Biz Group.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's something that we live and breathe. Even for me, until today, I still value this so much.
Well, just because they're our core values, they resonated with you, exactly. And so then it becomes something that you can say, this is how I want to behave outside of the company, as well as how I behave inside the company. How I behave when I'm being watched, but also how I behave when I'm not being watched.
I remember I always brag about this to my friends. Like I always ask them, "Do you have core values?" What's core values? And again, can we dive into each core values? Okay,
100%.
Let's go to act with Biz Energy. So for me, how it helped me, like for me, every time I create a content or conduct workshop, like I always, put the best energy, and because that helps as well bring the crowd, bring the what's it called, the excitement from people, So for creating content, I always try to be natural and put up my my character, my charisma, because I know I'm funny. My strength is not speaking.
Funny.
Yeah, like see, I'm not a natural born speaker, but I'm natural born storyteller, and also I know my strength, which is being funny, being charismatic. So that's exactly what I'm doing with my content right now. I don't have to be the best speaker, but I know I have the charisma. I can make people laugh. So that's exactly what I'm doing.
And I think the interesting thing, the protection on Act with Biz Energy is it doesn't mean that you need to be the loudest person.
Yes,
it
true.
doesn't mean that you need to always be the person that is confident and can speak. It means that you need to have a certain presence, a certain energy, a certain passion. There's many bizzers that are quiet, but they still can have biz energy in the way that they work, the way that they operate, the way that they bring a full day's work and energy throughout everything. But it also can be, how do you create energy in others? So how do you create the space for other people to contribute? So when we are delivering workshops like you do now, it's like, how do I not just talk to people, but how do I get people to think? How do I get people to take action? How do I get people to contribute? So Act with Biz Energy it's kind of like a mission. We must have the energy that makes them want to have the energy.
Yeah.
And transfer that feeling that everybody leaves, not feeling exhausted, but everybody leaves feeling energized.
Yeah, true. Whenever I conduct workshops, that's one thing that I always hear from them. Like my energy, it's like they get always excited because of my energy.
Fantastic.
Yeah, good. Okay. Hazel, I'll be honest. This too is something that I struggle because see, I work alone most of the time. You know, if I work with freelancers, you know, very small group, but combining strengths and tell you what you need to hear. But still, like whenever I have to give feedback to my shooters to work for me, I need to tell them what they need to hear, what not what they want to hear, but what they need to hear. Like if they did something wrong or not in the right sense, I always try to explain them in the right way. And that's what I like about Biz Group. Whenever someone messed up, you know, you don't just what's the word?
Blame or shout or
Yeah, exactly. You try to tell them in a very very calm
Respectful
manner,
way.
respectful way, and that's one thing I've learned from Biz Group. So before working with Biz Group, I was like that. I was very loud, very vocal, you know. But I learned to always treat everyone with respect, you know.
I think the fear of tell you what you need to hear is, you know, people are nice and people want to be liked and people want to give positive feedback. And in this part of the world, nobody wants to lose face and everybody wants to feel like they did a good job. Nobody wants to be told, you know what, you disappointed me with that performance, behavior, experience, output. But if you don't give that feedback, then the person carries on doing that behavior.
Exactly.
And I think life's too short to let people fail. Now, they should fail because that's when we learn, but only if people then take a moment to reflect and get given the feedback. So I think it's really important. It's probably one of the values we've found the hardest because we're nice people and everybody wants to be nice to each other. But it's absolutely crucial. And it's crucial as well when you get a professional job and a client comes and asks you to do something. And if you think there's a way that you can do it better, you need to tell them what they need to hear, not just say, yes, we'll do that. Otherwise, you don't get respected as a thought leader, as a communicator, as a storyteller. You need to give people the benefit of your experience. That's why they engage you.
Yeah, true. Okay, now combining strengths. So again, I work alone most of the time, but when I work with people, I always look for their strengths. Like I know how to tap on their strengths and use them to combine our strengths. So for example, I'm not that good at this part of the camera. You know, I know that guy is good at it. So I know how to leverage those skills and something that, again, that I learned from Biz Group. Like I don't even have to hire the best of the best crew. Like for me, I just need to hire someone that, that at least I can
Trust to do
trust
their
to
bit.
do things. Yeah. So yeah, combining strengths is also something that I can also apply for myself. Right. It's not just about having a team. I've learned from Andrew that leadership can be also apply for yourself. Self leadership. Right. So yeah, combining strengths.
And I think the other thing is that Marcus Buckingham did a lot of work about how do you play to your strengths rather than just build your weaknesses. You can combine strengths. You can identify the strengths of your children.
Yeah.
You can identify the strengths of your partner. You can work out what you do and what they do. It shouldn't be always about pulling up people's weaknesses and getting them to focus on that. It should be about how do I play to their strengths? How do I leverage their strengths? So I agree with Andrew. You can do it self. You can do it in family. You can do it with friends.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be that you're part of a team. You can now do it with technology.
Yes.
So what is AI going to help you with because it's not one of your strengths? And how do you bring your strength to play?
Yeah, exactly. So I like what you said, the focus about people's strengths, not their weakness.
And I think the other component is with combining strengths in an organization is that teams these days are not just, this is the team I work in. I need to work in this team. I need to work in this team. It's amoeba-like. Things come together and they break apart again so that we can be fast. And so how can you accelerate coming together as a team, understanding people's strengths, figuring out how to work together, deliver a project, and then go to the next one? And so it's no longer a static thing. You actually need to be flexible, adaptable, bring your strengths. Maybe somebody else has the same strength as you. How do I learn from them? How do I let go a little bit here? Maybe I need to lead here. Maybe I need to follow here. So we're not always, even as a CEO, we're not always the leader. Sometimes we're the follower. And how do I do that in a way that I'm combining that the strengths, somebody else needs to lead in this situation, not me.
Yeah, when I work with Biz Group, like we work as one company. Like it's not just it's not my department. I will not work with that job.
100%.
So, yeah, right. So for me, I always sometimes I have to go to team building and then ask them to if they can do something for me, and vice versa. Right. Again, that's what I like about this value. Right. Okay. Genuinely care about delivering results. So for me, I talked about this during my last episode. Like we discussed that whenever you say yes to a client, they should always give 101% of everything, right? When you say yes, because again, at the end of the day, it's your name, it's on the line. So right. So for me, again, if I always care about my results, like sometimes it doesn't matter if you pay me less or I do it for free. If I say yes, if I do something, I want to do it in the best way.
You want to be proud.
Exactly.
You want to be proud of
exactly.
yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah.
And I think the one thing as an entrepreneur is you do need to be careful. You can't say yes to the point that you're bankrupt,
True.
So at the end of the day, if you care about your results have value, and that value needs to be paid for, okay? But what you don't want to do is to say yes and then do half a job.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need to do a full job. You need to be satisfied. You need to be proud of what you've done. And if you're not proud, then you need to do a little bit more work. And Liz Wiseman, author of Multipliers, one of the favorite lessons I got from her is when somebody brings you something, a presentation, a story, a creative piece of work, then the great question is this your very best work? And if the answer is no, then kind of like, why did you bring it to me?
Yeah, right.
But you don't say that. Okay, how much more time would it take for you to go and do your very best work? Because I don't want people to bring me half a job. I want them to bring their very best work. And that's hard. And we're not robots. We are human beings. So it's hard to do your very best work every single day. But kind of like there's a bit of an expectation that, all right, you might have a little bit of an off afternoon or you've got an off day. But fundamentally, you need to dig deep, find your biz energy and come and bring me your very best work.
Yeah, true. I mean, there's a reason why I still have clients that I work for more than a decade now. Biz Group, since I left, it's been almost 9 years. I'm still,
Well, exactly. We still use you. And for me, I was super delighted the other day. We signed another leadership journey with Altair, and Altair was my first client 31 years ago.
Wow.
Now, people come and go and people change in organizations, but your reputation stays. So what's your reputation? And do you have a reputation? And what we might deliver to that client might change and might evolve and needs to get different. But do you have a reputation that you will always do your very best work? And is it not just me? I'm not doing any delivery at Altair. The other businesses that are working need to still have that reputation that I started 31 years ago. That's why the core values are so important.
Yeah.
It's still the same behavior, different people.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Again, it's something that I always say to my friends that you want to get hired not because of your chip, but you want to get hired because of your name.
Yep.
Also, clients that look for relationship, like professional relationship. Once a client value professional relationship, usually they don't leave. Because again, once you solidify the relationship, it's forever.
And there will be times where somebody comes and says, "Hey, this is new and shiny and a different price," and you go and try that new client, new supplier.
Yeah.
But actually, if they don't have the core values in place, if they don't deliver some of this, do you know what? You'll get that client back. So just be true to yourself.
Sure. Okay. This one. Believe anything is possible. I think a huge part of my life was probably back during the pandemic. Everyone suffered during the pandemic, and I always look back at these values. You know what? When I left this group, this core values was on my wall. Like those little cards, I put them on my wall, and then I always look at them and always reminds me of the core values that I live and breathe back in Biz Group. And when I suffered in pandemic, I was like, even though I felt like I have no escape, but I still want to believe to myself. I still managed to went through it and beat it, And then I remember when the first time we met after the pandemic, right? We hugged each other, and then it was like, we did it. Right?
We did it. Yeah, you survived. And I think about when I came here, when I came to Dubai, I was in my mid-20s. And I said to people, I'm going to start a company in Dubai. And they're like, back in London, why? Are you going to start? I was at an advertising agency, but a suit, not a creative. And I said, well, I can't afford to start an ad agency because I don't have any money. I had £500. And I said, I'm going to start a training company. And they said, what do you know about a training company? And I said, nothing. But I tell you what, I think this is a market in which I can help people enrich their lives by doing a slightly better job selling or customer service. And I knew enough about that from my early stages of my career. And it was a believe anything possible start. But I also remember a saying that I had, and it was, don't be susceptible to the negative influences of other people, SNIOP. And I used to have that on my desk in the early days, and it became believe anything is possible. But it was, a lot of people are going to tell you it's not possible. A lot of people are going to say, well, go get a job in the pandemic, and being an entrepreneur is not going to work. And how do you scale this company? And how do you survive the first Gulf War? And how do you survive the financial crisis in 2008? And then how do you survive the pandemic? And all of it is being susceptible to the negative influences of other people. And if you just kind of like say, okay, I'm not being unrealistic, I am listening to those challenges, but I'm still going to believe that I can build this business beyond that barrier, that challenge, that whatever. Now, I think there is a component of caution here now. You've got a lot of listeners and followers. That doesn't mean that you can leave your job tomorrow and go start a business without a plan, without some cash behind you, without a lot of hard work, you know? So yes, I came here, I had no children, I had no husband, I had no mortgage, I didn't need anything, I could survive some difficult months. So don't leave a job if you don't have a plan. I think that's the most important thing. But believe anything is possible and figure out a way to make something work and change your career. So I don't want people to be crazy with that behavior, but I do think if you believe in yourself and you back yourself, look at all the things you can do these days that you couldn't do in my day, where you start creating a level of a business, where you put something in place and then you make the big leaps and decisions. So you're not at risk like we perhaps were during COVID.
Exactly. I mean, one great example, when I started my social media, like a lot of people tell me that, you know, you're just wasting your time, like, you know, so that, you know, you're not going to be successful. But then here I am right now. Right, you know, inspiring people, have this podcast with Hazel Jackson right in front of me, you know. So yeah, again, when I started, I was like, I couldn't speak like this, you know, I couldn't like talk to the camera, but I trained myself. Like I tried everything to change myself and prove doubters wrong, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that passion comes through after a while, and
true.
You know, I just think, if you really believe in something and you want to do it, then you can. You just have to put the hard work in. By the way, it's a lot of hard work to own your own business. It's not easy. And I think the youth of today, and I can say that because I'm older now, they just need to see that it takes hard work. It's not all overnight.
Yeah, true. Okay, now this one, supporting people's personal growth. I like this. I noticed with Biz Group, like you would rather work with someone that you have a personal relationship with, right? For example, I love when see, as you mentioned, people coming back. Like they leave and they still want to come back, and you accept them with open arms. And also, there are some Bizzers with friends or relatives. You would rather work with them, you know, than a new, like a random candidate, you know. So for me, I really like this, like the way you support people, especially as me, like you supported me in so many ways, you know, and I also saw you sent people to courses, like for example, like Charisma, Lani, you know, so I really like that, you know, again, supporting people's personal growth. And I still apply this whenever I work with someone that I always have the friends that I support, that I help. I mean, trust me, like I've so many friends that I have managed to transform their lives. Like they became from low paying job, and now they're working as a content creator, as a photographer. You know, and hearing those stories whenever I made someone change their life, for me it's like it's their achievement is my achievement as well. Like literally last week, I had a friend who got his first job. He's just attending my workshop for for like 3 years. He's also attending my workshop. Now he's working as a photographer.
Fantastic.
No, so whenever I hear those stories, I was like, that's
That's
an achievement.
enriching lives, hey?
Exactly.
That's why we do it.
Exactly.
That's my core purpose, and ultimately every person that works for us needs to feel like they leave biz whenever that might be, and their life has got more enriched. That doesn't mean necessarily financially enriched. It means they're a better person when they left. But we want that with every client that interacts with us. They have a better day. They learn something new. But I think it's also about, this is what goes hand in hand with tell people what they need to hear. Because if you don't tell people what they need to hear, how are they going to actually personally grow? So that's, if you feel uncomfortable giving feedback, then you need to remember, hey, but hang on, my other value is supporting people's personal growth.
Yeah.
So I better do it because it's actually unfair if I don't. And I think the other component with personal growth is there's an expectation on the other side too. Hey, you can come to my workshop and you can learn to become a photographer in your instance when you're helping people, but I need you to do the practice. I need you to go out and try. I need you to apply the learning. So from our side, if I put somebody on a training program, then I need you to apply that learning in the company. So it's a two-way street. You can support people's personal growth, but they must support their own personal growth. You know, we do a lot of reading in biz.
Yes.
So please read the books. If I'm going to provide them, then read and learn and think about that application. So it's not just here's everything on a silver platter. It's a two-way street when you give people learning opportunities for application.
Yeah, that's good. Hazel, we're done with the core values, but I want to go to the second part. This is going to be
This is a
fun.
surprise.
Yeah, surprise.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, I want to mention the things that I've learned from Biz Group and from you.
Okay.
Right, but before that, I want to ask you a question. What do you remember from me? Like who was Jairus or John when I was working with Biz Group?
John, who spelt his name the wrong way around. That's what I remember. So I had to learn how to do that. What do I call this guy? It's all the right letters, but they're not spelt the right way.
John or Jahan?
John. So what do I remember? I remember quiet creativity. I didn't necessarily see initially comic John. I saw quiet John. I saw a willingness to go and get involved, but behind the camera, not in front of the camera.
I agree.
That's what I remember.
I totally agree. Like, yeah, I mean that goes for my first things that I've learned from Biz Group, public speaking. Like, because I'm a photographer, videographer. I'm used to being behind the camera. When I first worked at Biz Group and then started shooting, covering you, I remember Brett, Cynthia. I was inspired. I was like, oh my God, I want to be like these people, you know. And I studied everything that you do, like the way you present, and also the clap once if you can hear me. I still do that every time. It works every time.
It does, doesn't it?
Right?
It's guaranteed.
I guarantee, you know.
It's also guaranteed that it will be used by those people in the room next time they need to do it. So it's a nice, contagious way of getting everybody attention.
I can't really imagine myself being me right now, even having this podcast without working with Biz Group. Like I was inspired so much by the way you handle the crowd, the way you enrich them, the way you make them laugh. You know, I was like, oh my God, I wanna be like these people one day. One day I'll be on stage and talking to hundreds of people, making them laugh, making them
And now you
inspired.
do.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's a funny story. Last workshop that I did, I managed to make them cry. So you guys make people laugh. I managed to make them cry.
Fantastic.
Because my topic was storytelling. So it's part of my 4-day course of content creation, and one topic is storytelling. And that's what I told them, like a great content creator knows how to trigger emotions through their content. Like if I want to make you cry, I know how to make you cry.
Okay.
If I want to make you laugh, I know how to make you laugh. If I want to make you angry, I know exactly how to make you angry through my content.
Fantastic.
You know, and I managed to prove it because they were crying. Like, you know. so yeah. I mean,
It's brilliant. I mean, I'm so proud of your story and so proud of your success. I mean, I think one of the great things for me is not just enriching people's lives by the training that we do or when they work with us, but actually helping people become entrepreneurs just by that little bit of extra passion. I don't know if you remember Tawfiq Araman. He was before your time, but he's a really, really huge, big job photographer right now. You can look it up as well. And he went off. And I remember this is funny, we were in my house. It was back when the Biz Group was a little bit smaller. Maybe we were 15, 20 of us. And we had an annual party. And it was at my house in Al Barsha at the time. And we did a talent competition. And everybody needed to bring a talent, something crazy. Yeah. So we did a talent competition. And that was when you did the drumming, wasn't it? No?
Yeah, I did.
Music,
Drumming, yes,
I think.
I
Yeah,
did.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that was this was an earlier party. And Tawfiq, he was one of our young consultants. And he brought and showed his photographs. And we were like, okay, that's a little bit of a quieter Biz Group talent competition compared to the singers and the dancers and the puppet show. And actually, he shared his passion for photography. And when he left us, he went to New York and did a photography program. And now he has his own business. And like you left and you took your talent that maybe we amplified or released. And you started a business. That for me is the ultimate success. Now, sometimes they start businesses that compete with me. Not so happy with those. So super proud of people that have gone on to build a business. That's the ultimate compliment, maybe.
Yeah, sure. And again, as I've said, I don't think I will be in this position in my life without seeing you, learning from you. So next one is confidence. As you said, I was silent. I remember I went to a meeting with you guys for a full day, and I couldn't speak any single word. I was like, I need to change it. Like I need to help myself, to improve myself. So I did a lot of training and practice by myself, just watching YouTube videos and talking to the camera, making content. So yeah. And then now I can
You can talk to anybody for any length of time.
Exactly, actually, confidence, and it's something that I believe is one of my main asset in business as well. Like having confidence, talking with clients, talking with in my workshops. So confidence is really strong.
I think it's key. I think confidence in yourself, and then let's add to it listening. So you're probably a good storyteller, and you've got this business where it is now because you also listened to what people were asking for, and then you responded. So it's that balance of having the confidence to speak out, but the humility to listen.
True, I agree. Next one is leadership. I learned a lot from you.
I don't think I'm a very good leader.
Oh, really?
I think
No
I maybe
way.
create followership, but I'm not convinced I'm a good leader.
Okay, but anyway, I've learned a lot of leadership from different leaders from Biz Group, right? From I don't know, I can name so many people, but leadership is something that I applied. Even I don't work with a lot of people, but sometimes for myself. Like being a good leader and to just know how to tap into people's strengths.
So I think for me, if I were to go back to the core values and say, can I authentically live those every day and hold people accountable for them? That's the leadership.
True. Yeah. True.
So I use the strengths, you give them feedback, you expect a certain level of response, you stretch people a little bit because they need to believe what's possible. You can actually tie Biz Group's leadership back to the core values as to our expectations. So I think I hold people accountable to the core values, and that might be the leadership you see.
Yeah. Back in the day, when we did the shape talk.
Shape talk, yeah.
I remember I was I think pure squiggle. But if I will do the shape talk again right now, I'll probably lean towards more the triangle.
Well, maybe you possibly have learned some of those skills because you need to have some of that decision making and drive and focus in order to be able to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
at the heart of you, though, I think you probably find you're still squiggle.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's the creativity, that's the content creation. And when you're relaxed and you don't have to do something, that will come out. Like for me, when I'm relaxed, I'm still all triangle. If I'm a little bit tense, I bring out my box now because I need to have a little bit more of that detail. But the squiggle got straightened out. So it's nice to do. I'm triangle, and triangle.
I remember I saw your result. Everything was triangle.
Pretty much. The circle was very low. I've learned a bit more circle over the days.
Exactly. And the last one, inspiring people. Giving value to whatever you do, right? Whenever I post something online, I always think, what value will this give to someone? Will this content make someone laugh? Will this content make someone get inspired, get motivated? Will this content be, make someone do something? So I always think of that whenever I create content, and you will never find any single content in my page that doesn't have value. And that's what I like about this.
And I think that's great. And I think if I take that back to leadership, you want to inspire, you want to give people the space. And sometimes you just want to make sure that you don't block them. There's an element of, as a leader, as a CEO, you want individuals to have their own motivation. Sure. How am I getting in the way? I can't always get you to do something you don't want to do, but I can make sure that I'm not blocking.
Yeah.
So I think there's an element, and I love that you're inspiring everybody, and I love that this kind of like conversation happens. People need to find their motivation, and then if they're being blocked by their organization, then they need to make a choice or a decision about that. It's not the boss's job to motivate you. It's the boss's job to make sure they don't demotivate you.
I agree, and I want to take this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you so much for everything that I've learned from you, from Biz Group. Like as I've said, I don't think I would be here in this position without working with Biz Group. Like I always ask myself, what would be my life right now if I didn't work with Biz Group?
I'm pretty sure you'd have found it, John. You'd have found your path.
But how long? That's the question.
Well, no, that's the difference. When? It's like a river which we released that water so that you could do your own path. It would have come at some point, but maybe it would have taken a little bit longer. So, but thank you. I'm so delighted that you've been successful and continue to keep me proud by everything that you're doing. And what I also love is you're enriching other people's lives. Yes. So hey, that's actually having a multiplier effect in the result of what we've done. So super proud that you're doing.
In my profile, it's written, I inspire people with my stories and photographs. So it's like you're enriching value. For me, inspiring people with my stories and photographs.
Perfect. Continue to do that for the rest of your life. And you'll live a fulfilled life, and you'll evolve as well, because you didn't have a podcast to begin with. Now you do. What's next? I don't know. But, it's exciting. I'm very excited for you.
Oh, wow. Hazel, whoo! Guys, thank you so much. Again, I hope you learned a lot from this. I mean, there's a lot of values that my viewers can get from this. And Hazel, again, thank you so much. And now I can breathe. I can eat. I can sleep. I was so tense. You noticed, right? I was
You're not tense now, though, hey?
Yeah. At the end, I was like, I was cool. So, okay. But again, Hazel Jackson's. I can't believe I survived this episode. But anyway, Hazel Jackson, again, thank you so much, and more power to Biz Group, more power to you. And we're going back to your office to drop you because you still have a meeting to catch. So, thank you so much, Hazel Jackson.
Thanks, John.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Can I give you a hug?
Of course you can. Hugs are always welcome. Well done. Great conversation.